Hello. I wanted to take this opportunity to talk with you and provide some more explanation to you about the materials from Chapter 11 and 12, and also explain about the test over that material. Um, as you all know, we're coming down on the last few face-to-face class meetings. Our last meeting this past Monday night on July the 13th, we discussed Chapter 11 and 12. Most of our content does come from Chapter 11. Our course competencies, there are 6 that deal with stress management and wellness. And that is the bulk of the content that we dealt with on Monday night. The PowerPoint that goes along with Chapter 11 and 12 is listed there in the link in Angel. You need to watch that PowerPoint or refer to it, and those of you that were there have a copy of it. But throughout the PowerPoint, there were questions that I asked, and I told the folks that were there that those questions, to answer those questions, would be their test over those chapters. Now, as far as Chapter 12, we didn't cover a lot of specific stuff in Chapter 12, other than we did mention that there is a resume example on page 260 and a cover letter example on page 262, and those are items that you need to do for the portfolio assignment. In addition, Chapter 12, in addition to the link, the folder here for Chapters 11 and 12, or I may be totally confused, there is an interest survey, and I'm not sure what folder it's in right now. It's in one of the last 3 folders. We have a Chapter 11 and 12 folder. Then I backed up and I skipped Chapters 8, 9, and 10. So as you look at the material in Angel, you will see Chapter 7, then 11 and 12. And my point, I think I told you in covering it that way, was we had more objectives or course competencies from those chapters that needed to be dealt with first. Then there's a link for Chapters 8 and 9 and one for Chapter 10. So basically, if you have stayed caught up with the assignments in this class, hopefully you have finished the assignments for Chapter 7. Then we have a link for chapter, or folder is actually what it's called, for Chapter 11 and 12. Then there is a folder link for Chapters 8 and 9, and one for Chapter 10. Somewhere in one of those folders, there is a GCIS, and the G stands for Georgia. There is a career inventory, and I don't remember what the S stands for. There's that item, and Chapter 12 talks a lot about careers and, the career choices. And then there's another link to a website about your interest. Both of those items, even though they may not be in Chapter 12's folder, they deal with Chapter 12's content. Some of our content that we deal with is dealt with in more than one chapter, which is why it's in a different folder. Hopefully that makes sense. But for Chapter 11 right now, I want to go over the questions that are on the test. They came from the PowerPoint. I told the group that was there that you can submit those when you come to class this coming Monday night, July 20th. I typed up a Word document of those questions. I put a Dropbox there. If you want to submit it that way, that would be great. It makes it much easier for me to grade. I even went as far as to make an angel version of the test, which would be much more easier for me to grade. However, I'll take it any way that I can get it. If you want to put it in my hand, that is fine too. However, if you do not get it to me, then of course you will not get a grade, or you would get a 0 for the chapter 11, and I'm counting it as chapter 11 and 12, excuse me. So, question 1. What are some emotional triggers or coping strategies for managing stress when in challenging environments? And our environments that we've talked about are basically, I broke it down into traditional. What are those emotional triggers that cause stress for traditional and non-traditional college students? And what are some coping strategies for those two groups? So you need to tell me what the triggers are that cause stress for those two groups of students and the ways they need to cope. So address that, both groups, both parts of the question. It's number 2 on the actual test. And what are some effective communication techniques when dealing with conflict and diversity? And both of those are talked about more at the end of the chapter. More specifically, chapter 11, section 11.4, pages 234 through 239 will help you answer that, because it talks about conflict and diversity. And diversity in this case has to do with diversity as far as ethnic diversity, cultural, race, gender, etc. There's more, and like I said, it's discussed in detail in that part of the chapter. The next question is based on choosemyplate.gov. That's a website. Give an example of a nutritional meal for each of the following meal times. And the meal times are breakfast, lunch, supper, or dinner, whichever you call it, and a snack. So for one day, what would be a nutritional meal for each, or what would be some items that would be included for each of those meals? And basically you have 4 meal times that you need to plan a nutritional meal for. Obviously a snack would be a nutritional snack. The next question has to deal with wellness, physical wellness, exercise. You are to develop a wellness plan for a typical week that you are taking classes at North Georgia Tech, which for our class week is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday week. For those 4 days, what are some types of wellness or physical fitness exercises that you could take part in to help you maintain a wellness plan? As we've learned, as we've talked about stress, one of the ways that reduces stress, or one of the big things that helps reduce stress, is eating right and getting exercise. And the next question asks, what are some things you can do to avoid weight gain and reduced energy? That's kind of a 2-part thing, but some of those things are going to be the same for both, the things that you can avoid. 4 were listed on the slide. If you can think of at least one more thing that you can do to avoid gaining weight and the reduced energy. Both of those tend to go together. Once you start feeling reduced, your energy is reduced, obviously weight tends to start coming on. The next question, what are some unhealthy ways to cope with stress? There were 4 unhealthy coping things that people do, discussed in the book. We know that people would choose these things to help them cope. However, what are some side effects of choosing these ways of coping? Then next we have what are the 3 main causes of stress, and we talked about there were 3 big life events that are definitely going to cause stress if those happen to you. And they all happen to us at different points in life. There's 8 questions. What are some ways the body responds to stress, both physiologically, which is physically, and psychologically, which has to do with your emotions and your mental, how you respond mentally. So there again, that was dealt with on the PowerPoint as well. Good luck on the test. You can take it. You can bring me the hard copy. You can submit it in the Dropbox, or you can take it in Angel. Just get it to me Monday, July 20th. See you then.